Hey guys, I'm George Gonzalez and I'm obsessed with making games. Today we are addressing a question that I had from someone in my school community. This is for Shadow, specifically with Meta. We're going to talk about how you want to start to connect to Meta APIs. So if you are doing VR games and want to do in-app purchases, leaderboards, get their usernames, ID, unique ID, this is where we start. You have to do this. And so I'm going to give you the details on the script, how to test that, how to set that up so you can test it in the editor so you don't have to build every time to test. And then at the end, I'll show you even more for the future if you want to do like the user ID, unique ID, and how to get that stuff from the player. Okay, so first, let's go over what you need. And you will have, I'll comment below, you will have the script so you can copy paste it however you want, wherever you want. But the idea is that you have an initial loader function or scene. And when you start the game, you're going to initialize. The first thing you do, you're going to check if the player can play the game, basically. And this is a simple thing that Meta wants you to do when you're starting the game. Okay, so this is like a must. And I have it in different videos, but this is detailed and it's going to be specifically to just this script. And I have a Meta initializer that has a lot of stuff. And I created a simple version just for this video. So if you have, anytime you have questions, and just ask, just like Shadow did, and I'll make a video if I can, or if it's specific enough, I'll make a video for you. Okay, so we have the simple Meta initializer. Okay, what is this? The main thing is we have here in the using. These are usually, people forget about these when looking at videos. So I'm going to make sure you have that. I'll zoom in a little. And then this is basically on the start. You can do it on awake, it doesn't matter. What I first do is an entitlement check. We async initialize. This is from Meta API, so you can look under documentation. And basically we initialize the game. And this is a Meta specific Oculus platform. And the way you get access to this namespace is by downloading the Meta SDK. So in case you are wondering, if you have in here Meta and these tools, oh, sorry, I need to lower this so you can see. So I'll make sure that up here, if you have Meta tools, you probably have access to this. If you don't, you can go to package manager and make sure that you have the Meta API specific. So I'm going to bring it up so you can see my assets. And if you type in Meta, you can get them from the Meta store. I mean, not the Meta store, the Unity asset store. Here, this one specific. So you have the Meta Core SDK, and then the Meta Platform SDK. This is specifically what gives you access to those calls. And you also have asks. So you have an import, so you can import this entitlement check. This entitlement is what gives it, the app checks if the player has, if it's on a headset, or if they're trying to bypass that and hack your game. And this is not like a foolproof. It's like a first step into helping secure your app. But it's good practice. And you have to use it, you have to initialize that so that you can start using the in-app purchases and other API calls. Okay. So anyways, so once you're ready with that, we'll go back to the script. Now you can access this core async initialize. And what we do is we do a try catch in case this fails for some reason. And if we fail, we quit the app. So here, Unity Engine application quit. In this scenario, I have like a delay because I want to tell the player that they're not allowed to play the game. And so you can create a text. And in here, in this comment, in this script, I'll have this commented out, but you can uncomment this by going like this. And you can use these to create a text, a loading text. And in that text, you can display different information to the player. Okay, so that's where you could use and say, hey, you're not allowed to use the app. The app is shutting down. And that way the player doesn't just like all of a sudden everything quits. But usually this only happens if they're doing something outside the app. Or if it happens while they're using the VR headset, that's something you can relate to Meta. Okay, so this is always good to do some of these. But so if you're having problems with the player, sometimes the app crashes, it just goes black right away. There might be some issues there. And so this is how you would, catch some of those. Initialize callback. So once you start the initialization process, you have this callback that you check. Okay, if there's an error, again, we quit. And I have this loading text again, if you want to uncomment it, to give the explanation as to why there's an error. And if they pass the entitlement, now we can continue with the game. Okay, so now we can, once this is done, the entitlement or the initialized, and the player's entitled to use the app, we can start the game. Now you can make in-app purchase calls. You can do all the other stuff that you need. This is all you need to start making callbacks. And this is just extra in case you want to. Once you have the entitlement, again, you can fail the entitlement after initializing. So the initialized callback is to start to initialize the meta information so that you can start calling APIs. Then you have an entitlement if you want that. I usually use that entitlement to get the user information and other things. And once we have the entitlement, we can now say, okay, it's safe for the player to play. You're entitled to use this app. And now you can get the username. So this is a way you can get the username. One tip that I want to give to you guys right now for watching this video is if you're looking specifically for like user ID and username, because sometimes Meta, the words are kind of off. Like, see, this says Oculus ID, and it's like, that doesn't say username. But this is how you would get the username. So you get the user, and then you do user.get Oculus ID. And this will be the username that displays on their name, okay? And then you can say, welcome, so-and-so. And then if you need the unique ID, that's user.id.toString, and then you get it as a string. And this is a unique ID for Metas. And this is tied to their user again. So the reason I like to use this unique ID is because it's unique, first of all. If you did the device, unique ID is per device, and sometimes that's not unique in the headsets. So that's what I found out. We used to use the unique ID on the device, and we would get, even within my company with different headsets, we would get the same user ID, and we had problems. And so then we switched to this. So if you ever need a specific unique ID, you can do this. So these are tips in case because sometimes it's hard to read the documentations and figure out what's what. And so now you know this is specifically their username. And I like to do this also because I don't want to have to filter. Usually people type their username. First of all, if you have to type, you have to create more UIs. It's more work for you because you have to create the setup for the UI. The second thing is you have to filter that, because then if they do swear words and they do underscore and they try to get around by doing different characters, or they try to mess with it. And so then you're going to have to create a bunch of filters and try to monitor their username. And so in order to avoid all those problems, I just use this. And it takes care of that. Meta makes sure that they're unique, their username is unique, that it's not profanity. So we don't have to do that. Meta is already doing it. So that's the reason why I don't like to do the whole change your display name and all these other things that just go into a lot of trouble. Okay, so we have all these things. If you wanted to get the user proof, this is specifically to validate. And a step farther, if you want to have more security in your game, you can do this as well. Get user proof. And then you can use this Oculus nonce. That's a specific string just for that login session. Okay, that's just if you want to. But I'm going to copy all this except this user proof stuff because you don't need it. And then you can have all this copy pasted down in the comments if YouTube lets me. And I'll do this right here. Okay, and you'll have that. The next thing is, okay, if you add this to your game, you'll notice that it will fail in the editor. And so that's why the next step is very important. We're going to go on how do you set this up in the editor so that you don't have to build. You saw that I was entitled to use this app when I hit play, so it's already there in the comments. So we're gonna go to Meta first of all. So you're gonna go to the Meta dashboard. In the Meta dashboard, I have my game here. You can select your game, and then in development, test users. And here you can hit add users. And in here you'll have like a prefix. This username is whatever you want. Well, 4 to 12 characters, and you have to enter a valid. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't really matter much. And then you have the email prefix for the email. You could say email. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I had, I think, magic. And then your password, whatever you want to do for password, the PIN. This PIN is important if you're going to use a credit card. You're going to add a credit card to do the pass and fail for testing in-app purchases. The PIN number, because you're going to use your phone. So you're going to use your phone and log into the app with this username, and you're going to add the credit card and you're going to put the fake number, but you're going to need the PIN number. And so this is where you have the PIN number. So usually I set it to something super easy so you can remember. It's not a huge deal. It's not like a security risk or anything. The account type is the same Meta account. You want the full Meta. If you want to test like a child account or managed account, you can. But for the most part, I just do Meta. Inherit your team's entitlement. And so then it can do everything you can. Make test user and creator follow each other so that if you need to like befriend each other, you can do that, or you can just remove this and do other stuff. But anyway, so I'm not submitting this. I already did that. Never. But here you'll notice that I have a new. So this is the one that I just created, and it gives you a random name. It doesn't matter. The main thing you want is this email address and the password you set. Okay. So what I did is once you have that user, you can go in here and you go to Meta. and you go to platform, edit settings. And again, this is just the ID, it's nothing secret or anything. And what happens is you can see in here, the way you log in is you have in here is use standalone. You want to create this use standalone platform and use Meta App ID. So this is using Meta App ID instead of the Rift, because you're not using Rift in the editor. So even though you are in the editor, it will do everything as if you're in the headset. And then we have the test. Hopefully I get the password right. If not, it'll be embarrassing. And then you log in and it's there. So I logged in as that person, and it tells you in here, your currently credentials are this. You could use your Meta credentials, like your login, your developer login. It just sometimes, for some reason, for me, it failed. So oftentimes if you're having problems, I'll just create a new one and make sure you have the password right, and it will work just fine. Okay, so I have this. Now, if I hit play, you'll notice in the logs that it will allow me to go through. And then I'll do one last thing. I'll show you what happens when I don't. So see, it says finish loading. You're entitled to use the player app. Okay, and it's not doing anything else because I don't need to. But let me show you what happens if I don't. So if I go in here and I clear credentials, and here debug log exception, we can log the exception. So this is to check if the entitlement failed. And now we're going to test when it fails. Because I didn't have anything checking if it fails, I could, because the try catch will allow me to suppress the errors. But now we can, and I could log as a debug.log error if we wanted to. But see, it update your standalone. So if we look in here, it says, I can't zoom in, but it says update your standalone credentials by selecting Oculus platform edit settings. So see, it noticed that it couldn't log in, and we're in the editor. So it needs to create that. So that is it. If you have any questions or any concerns about your game, regardless of whether it's VR, Android, iOS, or Steam, let me know. Let's talk about it. If you need help one-on-one, I have my community, Endgame Devs, my school community, where I help developers finish their games. And so my whole goal is to help you finish your game. And so if you're watching this, let me know, what are you stuck in? And we'll see you in the next video.